Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is Wednesday, April the 22nd. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local market is set to follow its global peers and fall at the open, with ASX futures down 0.7%. Equity markets came under pressure overnight on uncertainty over the fate of the Middle East ceasefire and the talks between the US and Iran. However, President Trump has indefinitely extended the ceasefire just hours before it was set to expire to allow for peace talks. Prior to that announcement, stocks on Wall Street fell and oil rose after President Trump said he did not want to extend the ceasefire. Stocks had initially gained on optimism over a round of solid corporate earnings, while JP Morgan, citing AI and tech-driven earnings, raised its year-end target for the S&P 500 to 7,600, a potential upside of 7%. Amazon rose after announcing it will invest up to $25 billion in Anthropic, signalling mega-cap companies are still willing to spend massively on the AI technology. Apple shares fell after revealing that Chief Executive Tim Cook would hand over the reins to longtime engineering boss John Ternus. In earnings results, United Healthcare shares surged after the conglomerate raised its annual profit forecast and beat Wall Street expectations for the first quarter. 3M beat analyst estimates for first quarter profit as cost control measures helped offset inflationary and tariff-linked pressures, even as the industrial giant warned of a $125 million jump in annual cost due to soaring oil prices. GE Aerospace said it was on track to hit the high end of its profit outlook, but is bracing for a tougher backdrop of elevated oil prices, fuel constraints and slower global growth. United Airlines forecast second quarter and full year profits below estimates as higher jet fuel prices squeeze margins. And oilfield services provider Halliburton warned disruptions caused by the Iran war and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz could cut current quarter earnings after beating first quarter profit estimates. Well, President Trump has indefinitely extended the ceasefire with Iran to allow the two countries to continue peace talks to end the war. In a statement on social media, he said he had agreed to requests by Pakistan, which has mediated peace talks, saying to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. And he said he would continue the US Navy's blockade of Iran's ports and shore, which Iran's leaders have said is an act of war. In the US, March retail sales were stronger than expected, up 1.7%, boosted by a record surge in gasoline receipts. And President Trump's nominee for Fed Chair, Kevin Warsh, has testified before the Senate, pledging to act independently, saying, "The President never asked me to predetermine, commit, fix, decide on any interest rate decision in any of our discussions, nor would I agree to do so. I'll be an independent actor if confirmed as Chairman of the Federal Reserve." Well, US Treasuries have slumped on strong retail data and uncertainty over the Middle East war. The US two-year yield rose to 3.79%, the 10-year was up to 4.31%. Australian three-year government bond yields rose to 4.63%, the 10-year at 4.98%. The US dollar index up around 1/3% on the day. The Aussie dollar has fallen back to 71.5 US cents. US crude exports are on track for their two strongest months ever in April and May, with an armada of oil tankers on its way to Asia. However, oil prices have jumped higher with the extension of the ceasefire and no timeline for peace talks. Brent crude rose to $100 a barrel. Gold extended losses as a stronger US dollar and rising yields weighed on prices. Spot gold down more than 2% to around $4,710 an ounce. Copper fell 0.5%, iron ore little change at 110 US a tonne. And Bitcoin currently trading at around 75,000 US dollars. Ahead locally today, Westpac is scheduled to release its monthly leading index, and BHP, South32, Northern Star and Paladin Energy are among the companies set to report quarterly updates. That is your day ahead. See you again tomorrow.